Celibacy, or abstinence from sexual activities, originates from the Latin term celibatus, meaning state of being unmarried. Historically, celibacy is mostly associated with religious and spiritual leaders in Christianity, Buddhism, and Hinduism. In Christianity, particularly within the Roman Catholic Church, clergy members take vows of celibacy to abstain from marriage and sexual relations, believing it fosters a closer relationship with God, free from familial distractions. Beyond religious contexts, celibacy can be a personal choice for personal growth, liberation, or health reasons. In early human tribes, celibacy was virtually non-existent. These communities focused on survival, with reproduction vital for the tribe's continuity. Anthropological studies suggest sexual relations were communal and less governed by strict moral or religious codes. Tribal social structures were often egalitarian, viewing sexual behavior as a natural, essential part of life. Little evidence suggests early humans practiced sustained sexual abstinence akin to later religious celibacy. Mating practices were influenced by kinship, social bonds, and the need for offspring. Some early agricultural societies showed signs of regulating sexual behavior, but these were exceptions. So it's safe to say voluntary celibacy was not recognized in primitive tribal societies, which relied on procreation to survive and thrive. But where did celibacy originate from? Some say the roots lay in India, as celibacy, known as brahmacharya in ancient India, was integral to the spiritual and societal framework, rooted in Hindu philosophy and transcended mere abstinence, representing a disciplined lifestyle aimed at higher spiritual goals. Brahmacharya was one of the 4 ashramas or life stages in Manusmriti, guiding individuals from birth to death. In this stage, young males, typically from upper castes, underwent rigorous academic and spiritual training under a guru. This training included studying sacred texts, meditation, and learning self-restraint and discipline. Celibacy aimed not only at spiritual elevation, but also at conserving energy, deemed vital for intellectual and physical development. Practicing brahmacharya was believed to optimize mental faculties and concentration, essential for scholarly pursuits. Distinguished scholars, sages, and warriors embraced this vow in their early years. This lifestyle was also seen as preparation for household responsibilities, with self-control being fundamental for personal and social harmony. Brahmacharya extended beyond religious and academic pursuits to daily conduct, emphasizing ethical living and moral integrity. This practice demanded high discipline and simplicity in living, including food, clothing, and habitation. Dietary restrictions promoted foods believed to purify the body and mind. Additionally, its communal aspect fostered a culture valuing knowledge, discipline, and spiritual growth. Though primarily linked to males, brahmacharya also influenced societal expectations of chastity and fidelity within marriage. But before we go deeper, you're probably wondering if celibacy exists among animals as well. And I'm going to answer that weird question for you right now. Celibacy, or abstinence from sexual activities, indeed extends beyond humans. In the animal kingdom, some species exhibit minimal or no mating throughout their lives. Factors like environmental conditions, social structures, and survival strategies influence these behaviors. For example, certain insects such as worker bees, ants, and termites practice celibacy as part of their colony's hierarchy. Sterile female worker bees focus entirely on hive duties, leaving reproduction to the queen. Similarly, in some ant and termite species, worker castes abstain from mating, dedicating themselves to nurturing the colony. In certain vertebrates, some fish, amphibians, reptiles, birds, and mammals show behaviors leading to minimal or no mating. For instance, the female kakapo, a nocturnal parrot from New Zealand, demonstrates selective mating behavior. Due to a small population and low reproductive rates, many females do not mate annually. Another example is the naked mole rat. In their colonies, only the queen reproduces, while other members are sterile and focus on tasks like foraging, tunnel maintenance, and colony protection. Factors such as resource scarcity, predation risks, and social dynamics significantly influence these vertebrates' reproductive strategies. In some animal species, celibacy arises from a lack of sexual dimorphism. In certain fish like clownfish, all individuals are born male, with only the dominant one becoming female. If this female is removed, the next dominant male transforms into a female. This can cause celibacy periods when the dominant female is absent. In asexual lizard species like the New Mexico whiptail, males are entirely absent. These species consist solely of females that clone themselves to reproduce, bypassing mating. I must say, wow, what a world we live in. And now, back into the human realm. In ancient Greece, Orphism, a mystical religion from Thrace, practiced celibacy to achieve spiritual purity and divine communion. Orphic followers believed abstaining from sexual activities broke the cycle of rebirth, leading to enlightenment. The Pythagoreans, followers of Pythagoras, also valued celibacy for maintaining mind and body purity. They believed abstinence led to greater intellectual and spiritual clarity. Their strict lifestyle included a vegetarian diet, communal living, and self-discipline, with celibacy as a key aspect. Another perspective on Greek celibacy was its believed enhancement of athletic prowess and military discipline. Many athletes and warriors practiced temporary celibacy before competitions or battles, thinking it preserved strength and focus. This belief stemmed from the idea that sexual activity depleted energy and reduced combat effectiveness. Spartan society, known for its military discipline, also included celibacy in its training regimen, reinforcing its role beyond religion into practical applications in daily life and society. Celibacy played a crucial role in many religious events, such as the Eleusinian Mysteries, annual secret religious rites at Eleusis dedicated to Demeter and Persephone. These rites promised initiates profound spiritual revelations and an afterlife. Celibacy symbolized purity and readiness for divine knowledge. Participants, known as mystai, fasted and abstained from sexual activity before the ceremonies. In Stoicism, founded by Zeno of Citium in the early 3rd century BC, celibacy was encouraged for self-control, virtue, and rational thought. Stoics believed it helped achieve eudaimonia, a state of flourishing and contentment. Celibacy in ancient Greece was also linked to certain cults and their priestesses. The priestesses of Artemis, the goddess of the hunt and chastity, were expected to remain celibate. Artemis symbolized virginal chastity, and her followers embodied this through their practices. The Vestal virgins in ancient Rome, influenced by Greek customs, had to stay celibate for 30 years during their service. These priestesses' celibacy was viewed as dedication and sacrifice to their deities. But before we move forward on the celibacy timeline, let's see the medical and scientific perspective on celibacy. Medical views on celibacy have shifted over time. In ancient Greece and Rome, physicians like Hippocrates and Galen debated its health effects. Hippocrates believed it caused humoral imbalances, while Galen argued it promoted longevity by conserving vital energies. During the Renaissance, renewed interest in the human body and its functions brought new perspectives on celibacy. Influential figures like Leonardo da Vinci practiced celibacy, believing it channeled their energy into intellectual pursuits. Medical scholars began to explore the psychological and physiological impacts of celibacy rigorously. The 17th century saw debates among physicians like Thomas Sydenham, who linked celibacy to ailments like hypochondria. However, others believed it promoted a disciplined and healthy lifestyle. The Enlightenment shifted views on celibacy, favoring empirical studies over religious doctrine. Some Enlightenment thinkers argued that celibacy could lead to unnatural behaviors and mental health issues due to the repression of sexual desires. Others believed it allowed greater focus on intellectual and creative achievements, as seen in some scientific community members. In the 19th century, the study of celibacy evolved with modern psychology. Sigmund Freud argued that celibacy could cause psychological distress by repressing natural sexual instincts. Other psychologists suggested that celibacy could be a healthy lifestyle choice when voluntarily adopted. The Victorian era's strict moral codes influenced medical views, often linking celibacy to purity and moral superiority. Recent research has provided a more nuanced understanding of celibacy. Studies from the late 20th century to the present examine how voluntary celibacy can foster personal growth, autonomy, and mental well-being. Conversely, involuntary celibacy, where an individual cannot engage in sexual activity despite their desire, has been linked to depression and anxiety. In conclusion, the medical community hasn't exactly decided whether celibacy is a good thing for you or not, so I guess it's up to you to decide. But now, a short turn into ancient Egypt. Celibacy in ancient Egypt is often misunderstood. Unlike many societies where celibacy was tied to religious beliefs, in ancient Egypt it had a more complex social framework. Certain priests serving the goddess Isis and god Amun were required to maintain celibacy for ritual purity. Sexual activity was believed to cause impurity, so a vow of celibacy was actually taken seriously. Celibacy extended beyond abstinence to avoiding impurities, certain foods, and adhering to specific hygiene practices. This rigorous lifestyle highlighted their dedication and set them apart from the lay population. Priests often served in cycles, alternating between intense ritual service and time off, during which they could marry and have families. This cyclical approach balanced religious duties with personal lives, reflecting the flexibility of ancient Egyptian religious practices. Female priestesses, though less documented, also observed periods of celibacy, particularly those dedicated to goddesses like Hathor. The meticulous requirements for priestly celibacy ensured the efficacy of rituals and proper honor to the deities, demonstrating profound respect for the gods and belief in ritual purity. And before moving on to ancient Rome, let's see what different religions have to say about celibacy. First up, Christianity. Celibacy has been a significant topic within Christianity, especially regarding clergy and religious life. The practice, implying abstention from marriage and sexual relations, is rooted in early Christian traditions. Apostle Paul, one of its earliest advocates, promotes celibacy in 1 Corinthians 7, emphasizing the spiritual benefits of undivided devotion to God. Early Christians viewed celibacy as a way to emulate Jesus Christ's purity and dedicate themselves more fully to spiritual pursuits. By the 4th century, the practice gained institutional support. The First Council of Nicaea in 325 AD encouraged but did not mandate celibacy for clergy. Over time, regional councils and influential church fathers like Augustine of Hippo and Jerome strongly endorsed it, shaping Christian religious norms. During the medieval period, celibacy laws became more stringent. The Second Lateran Council in 1139 declared clerical marriages invalid, preventing the inheritance of church property through clerical offspring. The 11th century Gregorian reforms enforced these standards, emphasizing celibacy for moral and spiritual authority. Conversely, the Eastern Orthodox Church allowed married priests while maintaining celibacy for monks and bishops. This difference has persisted, illustrating divergent paths within Christianity regarding celibacy. The 16th century Protestant Reformation significantly challenged mandatory clerical celibacy. Reformers like Martin Luther, a former monk, married and argued against the celibacy requirement, viewing it as contrary to scripture and natural law. This led to Protestant denominations permitting clerical marriage, marking a major shift in the Christian approach to celibacy. Despite reforms, the Catholic Church upheld clerical celibacy. The Council of Trent, held in 1545 to 1563, reaffirmed this practice, citing biblical and traditional roots. The council declared celibacy essential for the clergy, emphasizing its role in fostering dedication to God and the Church. Various popes throughout centuries have reasserted celibacy's importance. In the 20th century, Pope Pius XI and Pope Paul VI issued encyclicals affirming its value. Pope John Paul II, in his apostolic exhortation Pastoris Dabo Vobis, highlighted the spiritual and pastoral reasons for maintaining the tradition. Despite ongoing debates and challenges, celibacy remains a deeply ingrained aspect of Catholic clerical life. Meanwhile, other branches of Christianity, such as Anglicanism and various Protestant denominations, permit clerical marriage, reflecting diverse views within the broader Christian tradition. The conversation on celibacy has evolved, mirroring societal changes and theological reflections. The Second Vatican Council, from 1962 to 1965, addressed priests' roles in the modern world, but upheld celibacy as a valuable tradition. The council encouraged a more pastoral and personal approach, recognizing clergy challenges. Recent discussions on clerical celibacy have been influenced by clergy shortages and scandals within the Church. Some argue that allowing priests to marry could address these issues, foster relatable clergy, and align with other Christian traditions. Pope Francis has opened discussions on this topic, suggesting a pragmatic approach, especially in regions with severe priest shortages. Proponents argue celibacy mirrors Jesus Christ's life, allowing clergy to serve without family distraction. It symbolizes the kingdom of God and a deep spiritual commitment. Critics note it is not explicitly mandated in the New Testament, and that early leaders, like the Apostle Peter, were married. They claim enforced celibacy can cause personal and psychological issues, such as isolation and loneliness, and point to related church scandals. Many clergy find profound meaning in celibacy, seeing it as a unique expression of faith. The future of celibacy in Christianity remains uncertain and a lively topic of discussion. In Catholicism, the debate reflects broader questions about tradition, modernity, and the Church's evolving needs. Some advocate for maintaining celibacy as a distinctive mark of the priesthood, while others call for reforms to address contemporary challenges. Outside Catholicism, many Christian denominations embrace clerical marriage, reflecting different understandings of clergy life and responsibilities. The diversity of practices across Christian traditions highlights the issue's complexity and the variety of ways faith communities address it. And that's Christianity, whether you like it or not. Next up on our list, Judaism. Celibacy in Judaism is shaped by religious, cultural, and historical factors. Unlike religions that idealize celibacy, Judaism values marriage and procreation. The Torah, Genesis 1:28, commands, "Be fruitful and multiply," indicating procreation as a divine mitzvah. The Talmud, Yevamot 62b, states a man should not abstain from increasing his family unless he has children. Historically, Jewish communities viewed celibacy as contrary to their survival. Despite general opposition, isolated examples exist. The Essenes, a Jewish sect from the Second Temple period, practiced celibacy, believing in higher spiritual purity through abstention from marital relations. Additionally, medieval Jewish mysticism, particularly in Kabbalistic tradition, sometimes embraced temporary celibacy for spiritual refinement. These instances, however, were exceptions. Mainstream Judaism consistently aligned with marital life to fulfill divine commandments and ensure communal continuity. Celibacy, while recognized in certain contexts, never gained widespread acceptance or institutional endorsement within Judaism. The concept of celibacy often contrasts with Jewish law. Halacha mandates marriage for men by 18 to fulfill the mitzvah of procreation. The Shulchan Aruch, a central code of Jewish law, emphasizes the importance of marriage. Rabbinic literature frequently extols married life as essential for spiritual completeness. Marriage also serves practical purposes, contributing to social stability and continuity. Some Jewish sages, like Rabbi Akiva, saw celibacy as neglecting divine commandments. However, certain mystical traditions accepted celibacy under specific circumstances. For example, the Kabbalistic texts known as the Zohar discuss refraining from marital relations to attain a higher spiritual state, but such teachings were esoteric and reserved for a select few. Another rare example is the Nazirite vow described in the Torah, where an individual abstains from wine, cutting hair, and contact with the dead. While not typically involving long-term celibacy, the vow emphasizes periods of spiritual dedication. These examples show that while celibacy exists in Jewish historical and religious texts, it remains limited. In Ketubot 61b, the Talmud extols marital intimacy as a mitzvah. Jewish law obliges both men and women to marry. Thus, remaining single or celibate contradicts this framework. The Sefer HaChinuch underscores procreation's critical role in God's plan. Community standards also impose social pressures to marry. In many Jewish cultures, unwed individuals could face scrutiny or exclusion. The Jewish perspective on celibacy reflects a broader theological view of human purpose. Judaism sees humans as partners in God's creation, with marriage and procreation essential to this role. Isaiah 45:18 emphasizes that the world was created to be inhabited, implying divine intent for population growth. Biblical figures like Abraham and Sarah, despite initial barrenness, are celebrated for their roles as progenitors of the Jewish people. Rabbi Eliezer in Pirkei Avot suggests that those who do not procreate diminish the divine image. While celibacy appears in various global religious traditions, within Judaism it is rarely seen as a path to holiness. Instead, forming and raising families aligns with fulfilling God's commandments and sustaining the Jewish faith and community. It is within the family unit that Jewish traditions, laws, and values are transmitted across generations. Even in mystical Jewish traditions, where celibacy might have a minor role, the broader community adheres to marriage and procreation as core tenets of religious life. The Talmud states that even Adam, the first human, was not meant to live in solitude, emphasizing companionship. Jewish communities have historically shown resilience and continuity due to these values. The emphasis on marriage ensures the perpetuation of Jewish traditions, practices, and beliefs. The Jewish worldview integrates spiritual life with earthly responsibilities, seeing them as complementary. And that's something we should all think about for a minute. I personally am from a nation with less than 1 million people, and no one is having kids, but adopting dogs instead. I wonder how long we'll survive. And the next religion, Buddhism, founded by Siddhartha Gautama in ancient India, emphasizes celibacy within monastic communities. Celibacy, or brahmacharya, is a central vow for Buddhist monks and nuns, aiding in the cultivation of detachment necessary for enlightenment. The origins of celibacy in Buddhism trace back to the Buddha himself. Siddhartha Gautama abandoned his royal life, renouncing his wife and son to seek enlightenment, setting a precedent for his followers. The Buddha's teachings in the Sutta Pitaka emphasize simplicity and self-control, reinforcing celibacy's importance. Early Buddhist texts state that sexual desire and attachment hinder spiritual growth and cause distractions. Celibacy helps monks and nuns maintain focus and discipline. As Buddhism spread across Asia, the tradition of celibacy solidified. Monastic communities in Sri Lanka, Thailand, and Myanmar still adhere to these principles strictly. Celibacy in Buddhism has practical implications. It frees monastics from familial and social responsibilities, allowing full dedication to their monastic community and spiritual duties. This tradition fosters an environment where members support each other in their quest for enlightenment, creating a cohesive, purpose-driven monastic order. Monastics abstain from sexual activity to avoid attachments and desires that lead to suffering. This practice is part of the Vinaya Pitaka, the monastic code of conduct, which outlines rules for monastic life, including strict celibacy. Celibacy involves not just physical restraint, but also mental and emotional purity. By avoiding sexual relationships, monastics devote their energy to spiritual pursuits, focusing entirely on their path to nirvana. Celibacy in Buddhism extends beyond monks and nuns to lay followers. Lay Buddhists often take temporary vows of celibacy during retreats or intense practice periods to cultivate mindfulness and self-discipline. On Uposatha days in Theravada Buddhism, lay people observe 8 precepts, including abstaining from sexual activity. This practice offers a taste of monastic discipline and fosters spiritual insight. Mahayana and Vajrayana traditions also value celibacy. Practitioners like bodhisattvas and tantric adepts may choose celibacy to enhance their spiritual practice and focus on aiding others in achieving enlightenment. Celibacy is viewed as a way to conserve and transform sexual energy into spiritual energy, aiding in the progression towards higher states of consciousness. Celibacy in Buddhism, across various traditions, serves as both a practical and transformative tool for spiritual development. Sexual desire, seen as a powerful force, can cloud judgment and fuel negative emotions like jealousy, anger, and attachment. By practicing celibacy, monastics aim to purify their minds and achieve equanimity, which is essential for deep meditation and understanding reality. Celibacy helps break free from samsara, the cycle of birth and rebirth, by renouncing physical desires and relationships, which are primary causes of continued existence in samsara. This focus aids in achieving nirvana, the ultimate liberation from suffering. Celibacy aligns with kusala, or wholesome actions, adhering to Buddhism's ethical and moral precepts, promoting non-harm and compassion. Celibacy is crucial in monastic life, but presents significant challenges. Monastics must manage natural human desires, requiring immense mental discipline and self-control. The Vinaya, the monastic code, offers detailed guidance to help maintain celibacy. Daily activities, community living, and constant mindfulness are designed to minimize distractions and temptations. Historical lapses have led to strict disciplinary actions, highlighting the difficulty of this vow. The monastic community's support is vital, providing peer support, mentorship, and shared goals to sustain practice. In modern times, some Buddhist scholars and practitioners debate celibacy's relevance, considering contemporary values and lifestyles. Traditionalists emphasize its importance, while others advocate for flexible interpretations. Celibate monastics often become community leaders and respected figures, serving as spiritual guides. Their commitment to celibacy exemplifies profound dedication to the Buddhist path. Celibacy enables monastics to focus entirely on teaching, meditation, and community service, thereby enriching the broader Buddhist community's spiritual lives. However, the emphasis on celibacy can sometimes create misconceptions about sexuality, leading to negative attitudes or unrealistic expectations among followers. Thus, Buddhist teachings must address celibacy with nuance, emphasizing its role in spiritual practice without stigmatizing natural human experiences. Celibacy in Buddhism is a multifaceted practice requiring understanding and respect. It remains a powerful tool for those on the monastic path, representing a commitment to spiritual purity and liberation. And now that we've discussed Buddhism, let's look at Hinduism as well. Celibacy, or brahmacharya in Hinduism, is a vital spiritual practice originating from ancient texts like the Vedas, Upanishads, and Puranas. Brahmacharya combines Brahma, meaning divine, and Charya, meaning conduct, representing conduct aligned with divine principles. Hindu society divided life into 4 stages, or ashramas: Brahmacharya, meaning student life; Grihastha, meaning householder life; Vanaprastha, meaning hermit life; and Sannyasa, meaning renounced life. During Brahmacharya, young men practice celibacy to focus on learning and self-discipline, living with their guru in a gurukul. They studied scriptures, philosophy, and science, and emphasizing moral and spiritual growth. This practice extended to individuals on a spiritual path in later life stages, especially monks and ascetics. The Mahabharata and Ramayana highlight celibacy's importance through characters embodying this ideal. This disciplined living fosters spiritual awakening and inner peace. The Bhagavad Gita advocates for brahmacharya, equating it to attaining divine wisdom. Hindu monks, known as sannyasis, practice strict celibacy, believing it preserves vital energy for spiritual practices like meditation, prayer, and selfless service. This tradition continues today, with many spiritual leaders and followers adhering to brahmacharya principles to seek higher truths and enlightenment. Ashrams and spiritual retreats support practitioners in their journey towards celibacy and self-discipline. The practice is also relevant for lay people balancing worldly responsibilities with spiritual aspirations. Brahmacharya's principles transcend time, offering a pathway to self-realization and higher consciousness. With its emphasis on control, discipline, and spiritual growth, celibacy remains a respected practice within the Hindu community. And last of the religions we're looking into this time is Taoism, being probably the most interesting of them all. In Taoist philosophy, the human body is a microcosm of the universe, and maintaining its purity is crucial for spiritual growth. Celibacy preserves vital energy, known as Jing, essential for health and enlightenment. Laozi, the semi-legendary founder of Taoism, emphasized living in harmony with the Tao, the natural way of the universe. This often included abstaining from sexual activity to avoid dissipating Jing. During the Han Dynasty, when Taoism flourished as an organized religion, monastic communities were established where monks and nuns took vows of celibacy as part of their spiritual discipline. Celibacy was also linked to Wu Wei, or non-action, encouraging practitioners to abstain from desires and attachments that could cause imbalance. Texts like the Tao Te Ching and Zhuangzi reinforced these ideas, depicting celibacy as a path to wisdom and immortality. Alchemists believed sexual abstinence could transform Jing into higher energies like Qi and Shen, essential for spiritual transcendence. But not all Taoist schools mandated strict celibacy. The Quanzhen school, founded in the 12th century, emphasized solitary practices and strict celibacy. Meanwhile, the Zhengi school allowed marriage and family life, but promoted moderation in sexual activities. Some modern Taoist monastic orders still uphold celibacy as crucial for spiritual growth and preserving Jing. However, many lay practitioners and less orthodox branches do not adhere to strict celibacy. Contemporary Taoist thinkers suggest that the essence of the practice lies in the control and mindful management of sexual energy rather than outright abstinence. This perspective promotes a balanced approach, emphasizing alignment with the Tao through regulating desires rather than complete denial. Studies in modern Taoist practices reveal a pragmatic approach to celibacy, blending ancient principles with contemporary lifestyles. The core philosophy remains conserving vital energy and achieving harmony with the universe. Yet, the methods and interpretation of celibacy are more flexible, illustrating the dynamic nature of Taoist traditions in adapting to changing cultural contexts while maintaining their foundational principles. But that right here made me wonder what the Amish people think of celibacy. Let's take a look. The Amish, known for their simple living, plain dress, and reluctance to adopt modern conveniences, are a traditionalist Christian group emerging from the 16th century Anabaptist movement. They reject infant baptism in favor of adult baptism and maintain a separation from the wider world, including in relationships and marriage. Unlike Catholic priests who vow celibacy to dedicate their lives to God, the Amish view celibacy mainly within singlehood and premarital life. Amish youth are generally expected to remain celibate until marriage, with strict courting customs ensuring chaste relationships that honor family values. Courtship begins around age 16, conducted in a way that ensures youth fully embrace their faith before marriage. Celibacy is seen as a period of spiritual preparation and growth leading up to marriage. As Amish youth enter their teenage years, they participate in rumspringa, meaning running around. Starting around age 16, Amish teens gain more freedom to explore life beyond their community's strict confines. This period, lasting several years, allows them to experience modern amenities and lifestyles. Despite this freedom, many continue observing celibacy, guided by their upbringing and religious teachings. Rumspringa's purpose is to enable informed decisions about their faith and future. During this time, they attend social gatherings and church events, often leading to courtship and marriage. The decision to join the church and commit to the Amish way of life becomes more meaningful when made freely, without coercion. For those who choose baptism and remain in the community, celibacy before marriage remains a significant expectation, aligning with Amish values of purity, discipline, and devotion to faith. During Rumspringa, Amish youth experience more freedom, but the community imposes limits to maintain moral integrity. Curfews, rules against alcohol and drug use, and expectations of modest behavior are enforced. Courtship follows structured practices rooted in Amish tradition. Couples spend time together during social events, like Sunday night singings, which promote group cohesion and faith adherence. Privacy is limited, and physical intimacy is strictly avoided. Courtship occurs with family awareness and approval. The church community significantly guides and supports these relationships. Couples marry in autumn or winter, aligning with the farming calendar to avoid disrupting critical farm work. Marriage ceremonies are simple, reflecting Amish values of humility and modesty, typically held in the bride's or groom's home. The couple vows to uphold the community's values and teachings, ensuring the continuity of traditions. The practice of celibacy before marriage among the Amish underscores their commitment to community values and piety. It reinforces their dedication to spiritual growth and readiness for marital responsibilities. By adhering to celibacy, Amish youth respect the sanctity of marriage and their faith's teachings. Structured relationships ensure marriages are based on shared values and mutual understanding. This framework contributes to the stability and cohesion of Amish communities, where family and religion are paramount. Community involvement in courtship and marriage creates a robust support system, preparing young couples for married life. Expectations of celibacy curb behaviors that could lead to moral lapses, reflecting the Amish emphasis on self-control and discipline. These practices help the Amish maintain a lifestyle aligned with their religious beliefs and cultural heritage. And now, as promised, ancient Rome. Celibacy in ancient Rome had complex origins, rooted in religious and socio-political contexts. A notable example is the Vestal Virgins tradition. The goddess Vesta had priestesses known as Vestal Virgins who maintained celibacy for 30 years, 10 years of learning, 10 of performing rituals, and 10 of teaching. Any violation was seen as a grave threat to Rome's safety. Law also played a role in enforcing celibacy. The Lex Papia Poppaea, established in 9 CE by Emperor Augustus, penalized those who remained unmarried beyond a certain age to boost population growth and stabilize society. Ironically, religious celibacy remained respected despite this law, creating a complex dynamic between societal expectations and religious commitments. The origins of celibacy in ancient Rome can be traced to Eastern cults, such as the cult of Cybele and her consort, Attis. Followers of Cybele practiced self-castration and celibacy in devotion to the goddess, introducing varied concepts of sexual abstinence to Roman society. Celibacy among philosophers contributed to its practice in Rome. Stoic philosophers like Epictetus advocated for self-control and the subjugation of physical desires. This intellectual endorsement added another layer to its acceptance and practice within Roman culture. But celibacy in ancient Rome had strong political motives as well. Emperors and officials endorsed celibacy among certain groups to consolidate power. By ensuring religious and philosophical communities adhered to celibacy, leaders mitigated potential threats from large, independent families. This control extended the state's influence into private lives, reinforcing the political hierarchy. The concept of virtus, associated with masculine virtue in Roman culture, sometimes included sexual restraint. Figures exemplifying virtus were expected to control their passions, embedding celibacy within honor and societal respect. Thus, celibacy was valorized and maintained in Rome through its connection to virtus. Class differences also influenced celibacy in ancient Rome. Wealthy families dedicated children to religious life, ensuring celibacy for religious favor and social prestige. This reinforced their status and influence. Dedicating a family member to a celibate religious order was seen as a significant offering, believed to bring blessings or divine favor upon the family. While the Vestal Virgins are the most famous female example, male religious figures observed celibacy too. Flaminii priests serving Mars had to remain celibate during their tenure. As Rome expanded, it absorbed elements from conquered cultures, embedding celibate practices into its social and religious frameworks. Early Christianity also played a crucial role. By the late Roman Empire, Christian values permeated Roman society. Early Christian ascetics and monks who chose celibacy as part of their devotion influenced Roman customs. Christianity's rapid growth and eventual acceptance by the Roman state meant celibacy practices endorsed by Christian leaders gained prominence. And now that we've explored celibacy in ancient Rome, let's look into Japan, where celibacy has a rich history, not solely rooted in religious beliefs. Its origins trace back to the Heian period, spanning from 794 to 1185, when the aristocracy influenced social norms. Nobles often engaged in miai, arranged meetings to find suitable marriage partners, leading to marriages focused more on political alliances than romance. This lack of genuine affection sometimes prompted individuals to lead celibate lives, prioritizing duties over personal relationships. Additionally, the rise of Buddhism in the 6th century, with monks and nuns taking vows of celibacy for spiritual discipline, provided a model for certain population segments. These intersecting social and religious influences during the Heian period established celibacy as a notable aspect of Japanese culture. During the Kamakura period, from 1185 to 1333, Buddhism's influence grew significantly. The samurai, or warrior class, emerged as a dominant force, adhering to a strict code of ethics called Bushido, which emphasized loyalty, honor, and discipline. Influenced by Buddhist teachings, some samurai adopted celibacy to demonstrate dedication to their lords and martial excellence. This era also saw the rise of new Buddhist sects like Zen, which promoted celibacy among its followers. Zen Buddhism emphasized meditation and self-control, aligning with the disciplined samurai lifestyle. These developments reinforced celibacy within Japanese society, especially among the warrior class. The fusion of Buddhist principles with Bushido created a cultural backdrop where celibacy was esteemed for achieving spiritual and personal discipline. Transitioning to the Edo period, spanning from 1603 to 1868, Japan underwent a significant transformation in its social and political structure. The Tokugawa shogunate established a stable and peaceful era, during which the samurai code and Buddhist principles persisted. This period saw a notable increase in Buddhist monasteries and temples, which became centers of education and cultural development, promoting celibacy among monks and nuns. The policy of sakoku, or national isolation, reinforced traditional values, including celibacy. The shogunate enforced strict regulations on social behavior, embedding the practice within the societal framework. Certain sects of Buddhism, such as Jodo Shinshu, began to reshape their views on celibacy, allowing marriage among priests while still advocating the benefits of celibate life for others. During the Meiji period, from 1868 to 1912, Japan underwent rapid modernization and westernization. The Meiji Restoration brought significant changes to Japanese society, including shifts in religion and social norms. The government adopted Western legal and educational systems, promoting ideologies that challenged traditional practices, including celibacy. Christianity and Western philosophy introduced new perspectives on marriage, family, and individualism. Despite these changes, certain traditional elements persisted. Buddhist institutions continued to advocate celibacy among their clergy, viewing it as essential for spiritual purity and discipline. However, societal emphasis on celibacy waned as Western ideas of romance and marriage gained popularity. Post-Meiji Japan has seen an evolution in celibacy practices. In contemporary society, celibacy has diversified due to economic pressures, changing gender roles, and shifting societal expectations. The phenomenon of Sekisushi Shinai Shokogun, or celibacy syndrome, describes the trend of young people abstaining from romantic and sexual relationships. Surveys show a significant percentage of Japan's youth are uninterested in dating or marriage, citing career focus, financial insecurity, and a desire for personal freedom. Japan's aging population and declining birth rate have fueled public discourse on celibacy and its societal impacts. While traditional religious celibacy persists in some Buddhist circles, modern celibacy in Japan is often about personal choice and social factors rather than spiritual discipline. This blend of historical and contemporary elements offers a nuanced understanding of celibacy in Japan, highlighting its complex and evolving nature. And not so far from Japan, there's China, where celibacy has an intriguing history. During the Six Dynasties period, spanning 220 to 589 AD, celibacy gained prominence among Taoist practitioners. Taoism emphasized the purity and spiritual benefits of celibacy. Taoist priests adopted celibacy to preserve spiritual energy and strengthen their connection to the Tao, the fundamental principle of the universe. This period saw the rise of religious communities where celibacy was the norm, promoting it as a path to spiritual enlightenment and the transcendence of worldly desires. The interplay between Buddhism and Taoism solidified celibacy's cultural acceptance within religious contexts. However, broader Chinese society continued to value familial duty and procreation, reflecting deep-rooted Confucian principles. The Tang dynasty, from 618 to 907 AD, significantly embedded celibacy into Chinese culture. Under Emperor Taizong, Buddhism thrived, promoting monastic celibacy. The state supported Buddhist institutions, leading to the construction of numerous monasteries and nunneries. These establishments became centers of learning and cultural exchange, where celibacy was a communal norm. Celibate monks and nuns were highly respected, often advising the royal court and aristocracy. The Song dynasty, from 960 to 1279 AD, maintained celibacy trends from previous eras. Neo-Confucianism emerged as a dominant philosophy, often criticizing celibacy as contrary to Confucian family values and lineage importance. Despite this, monastic celibacy persisted in Buddhist and Taoist communities, supported by the government. This period revealed the tension between Neo-Confucian family ethics and monastic celibacy, showing celibacy's selective acceptance primarily in religious contexts. Next up on our list is Africa, with its rich cultural heritage and awesome jumping tribes. And celibacy in Africa has deep cultural, religious, and social roots. Ancient Nubian priests took vows of celibacy to keep their rituals free from earthly desires. Among the Igbo of Nigeria, women dedicated to the goddess Allah took vows of celibacy to become priestesses, known as Allah's brides, who held significant spiritual authority and were believed to channel the goddess's power. In African monastic traditions, like the early Ethiopian Orthodox Church, monks and nuns practiced strict celibacy as a form of asceticism, aiming for higher spiritual enlightenment. Influenced by early Christian teachings, this practice was seen as a path to religious purity and closer proximity to God. In addition, celibacy featured prominently in various African initiation rituals and secret societies. Among the Maasai in Kenya and Tanzania, young warriors, known as Morans, practiced celibacy during their training. This abstention was part of their path to manhood, believed to enhance focus, strength, and warrior spirit. Similarly, in West African secret societies like the Poro and Sande, members took celibacy vows during initiation to demonstrate commitment to the society's spiritual and moral codes. These vows represented personal sacrifice and a means to cultivate discipline and loyalty. Celibacy in these contexts was often temporary, observed during critical periods of personal and communal development. In hunter-gatherer societies like the San of southern Africa, young hunters abstained from sexual activities before significant hunts, believing it enhanced their prowess and ensured success. Among the Zulu of South Africa, celibate maidens played a crucial role in the Umkosi Womblanga, or reed dance ceremony, an annual event celebrating virginity and moral purity. These maidens abstained from sexual activities as a symbol of purity and societal honor. Celibacy in this ceremonial context upheld traditional values and strengthened communal bonds. Celibacy in Africa extended beyond humans to animals in certain cultural rituals. Among the Ashanti of Ghana, animals used in rituals were kept celibate to maintain purity, essential for the ritual's efficacy. Similarly, in some East African cultures, celibate cattle were dedicated to deities as symbols of religious sacrifice and veneration. Colonialism and the spread of Christianity introduced new dimensions to celibacy in Africa. Missionaries promoted celibacy among converts, particularly within the clergy. African converts who became priests, nuns, or lay religious members adopted celibacy as part of their religious commitment. This introduction faced challenges, clashing with cultural norms that celebrated fertility and family lineage. Many adapted, integrating these practices with traditional beliefs, creating a unique blend. This period marked a significant transformation in celibacy's understanding and practice, highlighting its evolving nature within African contexts. Despite these changes, the principles of celibacy, purity, dedication, and spiritual elevation remained constant, demonstrating its enduring importance in African societies. And now we're going to delve into the origins of celibacy among the original tribes of America. Celibacy in pre-colonial Americas had complex roots, often tied to spiritual beliefs and societal structures. Among the Aztecs, it was intertwined with religious practices. High priests, called Quetzalcoatlus, took vows of celibacy to remain pure and dedicated to the gods. Similarly, the Inca Empire valued celibacy for its religious leaders. Virgins of the sun, known as Akla Kuna, were chosen for their purity and lived in temple enclaves, dedicated to serving the sun god, Inti. Their lives entailed rigorous discipline and devotion. In Mississippian cultures, certain elite individuals adhered to celibacy to maintain their spiritual status. These celibate individuals often held influential roles in rituals and were regarded as mediators between the physical and spiritual worlds. In some societies, warriors practiced temporary celibacy before major battles to enhance focus and stamina, believed to provide mental clarity and physical strength. In the Great Plains, certain Native American tribes practiced celibacy as a rite of passage or during mourning periods. For Lakota Sioux warriors, celibacy was expected during vision quests or as preparation for spiritual journeys, enhancing focus and resolve. In the Pacific Northwest, some warrior societies imposed periods of celibacy to ensure spiritual purity and readiness for battle and leadership roles. This temporary celibacy was believed to fortify spiritual and physical capabilities. In Mesoamerican cultures beyond the Aztecs and Maya, celibacy held significant roles. The Zapotecs of Oaxaca practiced celibacy among religious orders dedicated to Xipe Totec, believing abstinence heightened spiritual awareness and connection to the deity. Among the ancient Puebloans of the American Southwest, Kachina priests maintained celibacy to focus on spiritual duties, ensuring good harvests and communal prosperity. Celibacy often extended to those engaging in prolonged fasting and meditation to achieve higher consciousness. For the Chibcha of Colombia, celibacy was observed by their religious elite, who led significant ceremonies and acted as spiritual guides, believing it helped channel the spiritual energies required for rituals. The Iroquois Confederacy featured celibate roles among medicine men, who believed celibacy enhanced their healing powers and spiritual communion. The Olmecs, one of the earliest Mesoamerican civilizations, practiced celibacy, notably among their shamans. Among the Amazon's indigenous peoples, such as the Yanomami, temporary celibacy was observed during spiritual journeys or significant tribal events. Next on the celibacy list, definitely not sex. We're looking into colonial Americas instead, as things always seem to get wild when the colonists appear. Celibacy in colonial Americas stemmed from religious and social influences brought by European settlers. The Catholic Church promoted celibacy among clergy for spiritual purity and dedication. Protestant groups like the Puritans also valued celibacy for single individuals to enhance religious devotion. Socially, celibacy was seen as a way to avoid family distractions, allowing more focus on community and religious activities. In Spanish colonies, the Jesuits emphasized celibacy, expecting it from teachers and clergy in missions and educational institutions. In early New England, Puritan society esteemed celibacy, especially for those devoted to community service. While marriage and family were central to Puritan culture, celibate individuals often assumed significant community roles. They were perceived as more spiritually inclined and capable of dedicating their lives to God's work. Conversely, in the southern colonies, where the Anglican Church dominated, celibacy was less emphasized, with a greater focus on traditional family structures. Some settlers saw celibacy as a practical choice to avoid the hardships of family life in the challenging new environment. The scarcity of resources, disease, and the harshness of daily survival made celibacy a pragmatically attractive option for some. The 17th century witnessed various religious movements promoting celibacy in colonial America. The Shakers, emerging in the 18th century with roots in earlier Anabaptist communities, practiced celibacy. European settlers in regions like Maryland brought Catholic traditions, emphasizing celibacy among priests and nuns. This practice, imported from European ecclesiastical norms, was crucial in establishing and maintaining religious institutions in the New World. And now, medieval Europe. And as we've discussed celibacy in Christianity, let's focus on celibacy among commoners right now. Celibacy, often linked with religious clergy, had roots among medieval commoners. The cultural and societal environment of the Middle Ages led some commoners to adopt celibacy. Agricultural communities saw celibacy as a way to manage resources and land ownership. For many, it was an economic decision rather than a religious one. Land was precious, and inheritance laws complicated division among heirs. By staying celibate, individuals ensured land holdings remained consolidated within the family, maintaining economic stability. The feudal system also influenced celibacy. As serfs and peasants worked under a lord, fewer mouths to feed meant greater productivity and fewer hardships. Families sometimes encouraged children to remain celibate to keep resources within the kin group. Additionally, with high mortality rates due to diseases like the Black Death, choosing celibacy could be seen as self-preservation. Avoiding marriage and childbirth complications possibly contributed to longer life expectancy for some. In certain towns, specific guilds promoted celibacy among members. Some guilds believed single, celibate members could focus more on their craft and contribute more effectively to the guild's success. Women often chose celibacy for autonomy and protection. Marriage could mean losing personal freedom and legal rights in a male-dominated society. By opting for celibacy, women could join convents or become anchoresses, gaining respect, education, and influence unavailable through marriage. This choice also offered safety from the dangers of childbirth, a significant risk at the time. Some commoners were influenced by the monastic ideals of nearby monasteries. Monastic communities, living celibate lives dedicated to prayer, work, and study, were often idealized. Commoners who admired this lifestyle or its values adopted similar practices. Thus, celibacy in medieval society had economic, spiritual, and socio-cultural dimensions. Another significant factor influencing celibacy among medieval commoners was the economic structure of the family. Primogeniture, where the eldest son inherited the family estate, often left younger siblings with limited options. Celibacy became a viable path for these individuals. By remaining single, they could serve religious institutions, live in monastic communities, or seek other means of subsistence without diluting the family's wealth. Social norms and community expectations also played a role. In some regions, chastity was highly valued, and remaining celibate could elevate one's social status. This voluntary abstention from marriage and sexual activity was seen as a testament to one's piety and moral integrity. Communities held such individuals in high regard, further encouraging the practice. Religious festivals and seasonal cycles significantly influenced celibacy among medieval commoners. Many festivals emphasized chastity, associating it with divine favor and communal prosperity. During Lent, Advent, and other observances, communities promoted abstinence, reinforcing celibacy's value. Economic hardships and warfare were also crucial. During famine or conflict, celibacy might increase as survival became a priority. Scarce resources and unstable environments made marriage and raising families challenging. Frequent wars and skirmishes led to a demographic imbalance, with fewer men available for marriage. Folklore and popular beliefs also contributed. Tales of saints, heroes, and legendary figures often included vows of celibacy, portraying these individuals as morally superior and divinely blessed. Such stories inspired commoners to emulate these ideals. Thus, through economic necessity, religious influence, social norms, and cultural narratives, celibacy emerged as a multifaceted practice among medieval commoners. And now, let's look at some of the most historical figures who have chosen celibacy and nonetheless influenced the world beyond imagination. First up, Nikola Tesla, an inventor and electrical engineer, made significant contributions to alternating current AC electricity and embraced celibacy. Born in 1856 in modern-day Croatia, Tesla dedicated his life to his work, believing celibacy aided his scientific endeavors. He thought refraining from romantic and sexual relationships kept his mind focused and free from distractions. Tesla often stated that his chastity played a significant role in his intellectual achievements, attributing his innovative ideas and relentless energy to his celibate lifestyle. His commitment to work and celibacy set him apart from contemporaries, enabling groundbreaking advancements in electrical engineering. Tesla's celibacy underscored his belief in mental clarity and self-discipline, traits highly regarded in the scientific community. Rest in peace, you legend. And secondly, Augustine of Hippo, a pivotal figure in Christianity. is renowned for his theological and philosophical works and is considered to be the first Christian to practice celibacy. Born in 354 AD in Roman Africa, Augustine led a hedonistic life before converting to Christianity at 31. His notable works, Confessions and The City of God, emphasize celibacy and sexual purity, profoundly influencing Christian thought. Augustine equated celibacy with spiritual purity, setting a precedent for future religious leaders. He argued that sexual desires distracted from God, advocating for a life focused on spiritual rather than earthly pleasures. His teachings heavily shaped the doctrine of original sin and human nature in Western Christianity. Augustine's views on celibacy influenced monastic life, where monks and nuns embraced chastity as devotion. His ideas resonated through centuries, solidifying celibacy as a virtuous path within Christianity. Celibacy has also profoundly influenced art, literature, and music as a symbol of devotion, purity, and discipline. During the Renaissance, artists like Michelangelo depicted religious figures practicing celibacy, using the human form to convey spiritual and moral ideals. Michelangelo's works highlighted the chaste beauty of these figures, reflecting their inner purity. Literature across centuries features celibate characters facing moral and spiritual challenges, extending into modern narratives that explore the complexities of celibate life in contemporary society. Classic texts depict celibate characters as wise and spiritually advanced, yet facing internal and external conflict. In Geoffrey Chaucer's The Canterbury Tales, the parson's celibacy underscores his devotion to the church. In Leo Tolstoy's Anna Karenina, celibacy adds complexity and tension, with characters like Sergei Ivanovich reflecting its philosophical and spiritual ramifications. In Hermann Hesse's Siddhartha, celibacy is crucial to the protagonist's spiritual journey, emphasizing self-discovery and purity. In music, the tradition of celibate composers spans from medieval Gregorian chants to later choral works. Many Gregorian chants, composed by celibate monks, possess a pure, serene quality reflecting their vows. Celibacy's role in cultural artifacts reveals its deep-rooted influence on perceptions of spirituality and artistic expression throughout history. In contemporary society, celibacy, traditionally linked with religious life, has evolved. While it remains vital in certain religious traditions, more individuals now choose celibacy for secular reasons, influenced by personal, psychological, or societal factors. For some, celibacy allows focus on personal goals, career, or self-development without romantic distractions. Others see it as a response to past relationship dissatisfaction or a way to heal from emotional hardships. Movements like NoFap promote celibacy for mental health and well-being. Researchers note this trend as part of a broader cultural dialogue on the value of intimate relationships today. Digital communication also influences this shift, as some find virtual connections less demanding than physical ones. The future of celibacy suggests ongoing diversification. With societal changes, celibacy may become more accepted as a legitimate lifestyle, free of stigma. Younger generations are showing fluid attitudes towards relationships and sexuality, partly due to increased awareness of mental health, personal boundaries, and consent. Online platforms supporting celibacy reinforce its validity. Celibacy may intersect with movements focusing on self-care and minimalism. As awareness of the mental and emotional toll of unhealthy relationships grows, celibacy might be seen as a path to well-being and autonomy. Technological advancements, like virtual reality, could offer alternative companionship, influencing celibacy decisions. And that's all, my good folks. Thanks for watching or listening. I hope you're asleep by now. I sure wish I was, but I'm making this documentary for you instead. And that's good too, because that way my wife and kids can eat, and I can drink coffee all day. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, be sure to subscribe to our channel and watch our other documentaries as well. As always, your mental guide, history but fast.